on making it complicated. Please welcome our club president, distinguished Toastmaster Lois Margolin.
Thank you, Lou. Well, it looks like Diane has come online. Diane, are you going to speak? Because we had a backup speaker ready to go. I don't know what you're saying.
She gave you a thumbs up.
This is what I said.
Yep.
Okay, so we are back, just so everybody knows. Lou, you're evaluating Diane. And Graham, you are evaluating Jacinta. Sorry, John, but it's not happening today. And of course, Jim Barber, you're with Elaine. We have a wonderful meeting set up for today. I just wanted to make sure all of our evaluators were set to go. Let's take it home and pass it to our Toastmaster of the day, Asil. Oh, excuse me 1 second. Did we mention that everything here will be recorded? So remember that it will be live and recorded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. President, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. I have to confess that I'm not good at taking care of plants. When people bring me plants as gifts, I try to give them away because I don't want to kill them. But 2 years ago, somebody gave me a ficus tree in a small pot and said it was simple to take care of it. And it was. So this plant, being so simple, gained my love. And every time I look at that tree and being so elegant and joyful, I enjoy the beauty of simplicity. And today, I am sure that we all enjoy the meeting because the agenda looks simple. It has 3 segments: prepared speeches, table topics, session, and evaluation session. So for today's meeting, we have 3 amazing speakers: Diana, Jacinta, and Elaine, lined up with our valuable evaluators, Lou, Graham, and Jim. And table topic session will be led by our table topics master, Norman, and evaluation segment by our general evaluator, Lois. So now I would like to invite our helpers to introduce their roles. First, our timer, Roger. Please, Roger, explain your role. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I am the timer for today, and I will be timing all of these speaking segment. When you make the minimum amount of time, you will see the green flag behind me. Middle of the way, it will be yellow, and when you have used up your time, will be red. When you do see red, you have 30 seconds to wrap up your speech. For our prepared speaker, Diane has a icebreaker, will be 4 to 6 minutes. The other 2 speakers have 5 to 7. Our table topic will be 1 to 2 minutes, and our evaluators will get 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Roger. Our next helper is our counter, Patty. Can you explain your role, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. You're such an elegant speaker. Today, my role will be to check out for any words that are being used in an unlike way, like crutch words. You know, we always do it, like I just said, you know, and so, anything that is filling in something that should be a actual sentence or a pause. The best thing to do if you start to fumble and not know what you want to say is just take a slight pause and then keep going. You stay away from all of those filler words. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Patty. Our next helper is grammarian. David, can you explain your role? Thank you.
Toastmaster, I will be listening for good and could be improved uses of the English language along the way and giving some feedback at the end. I'll also be listening for our word, which in keeping with our theme is elegant. So the theme is the beauty of simplicity. The word is elegant. And elegant things tend to be defined as being graceful, as being simple, as being streamlined. I actually hear the word a lot in computer programming, an elegant solution. is concise and simple and less likely to break than most other software. Madam Toastmaster, excuse me.
Thank you. And our watcher is Tiger. Tiger, can you explain your role? You should unmute yourself.
Let's get myself unmuted there. Yes, I'm just going to be watching the Brady Bunch screen here, and hopefully my observations will be simple yet elegant. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger. Our next helper is Chat Monitor. John.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'll be watching everything you do in the chat, moderating in case it gets a little bit out of hand there. And at the end, I'll put a report into the chat with all the highlights of the day. So make sure to share good resources, good humor in there. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. Our vote counter for tonight is Deborah. Deborah, can you explain your role, please? Thank you.
I will. Right after all the times are put into the chat, we will confirm who, that everyone made it. And I ask that you just send your vote privately to me. Thanks so much. It'll be for a speaker, evaluations of the speaker, also for the person for table topics. Thanks again.
Thank you, Deborah. As you can see, our agenda is simple and elegant. So now it's showtime. So our first speaker for tonight is Diana Rubino. She's doing Dynamic Leadership Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals, Icebreaker. Why I Can't Quit Toastmasters, Diana Rubino. Diana Rubino, Why I Can't Quit Toastmasters. Please welcome her to the stage.
I should have read the contract before I signed it, but I didn't do that. You see, I was preparing to go to Eastern Europe. My partner was the main dish, the entree, if you will. He had won a Fulbright, and he was going off as a communications scholar. And I was kind of the side dish, the one you don't like so much, the lima beans. They're there anyway. Do you eat them? He advocated for me and asked if I could teach there too, and they acquiesced and they gave me a course. I realized that that was a nicety which they did not have to do, so I was very grateful. And I downloaded the contract and I signed it. It's simple. It looks simple, just like the one I sign when I teach at NYU or Columbia. And I then emailed it back. But something made me think a day later, I should have read that contract. Let me just take a look at it now. And if I read the contract, I would have seen this, which you cannot read, but I'm pointing out to you. This is where it says, not only will you teach, but you will start a chapter of Toastmasters for staff, faculty, and students. What? I had just agreed to it, but honestly, that was the least of my concerns. I'm very confident in the Toastmasters materials. I think that they're extremely well designed and thoughtful. So I wasn't worried if I could start a club. And besides, I was super worried about how cold it was going to be. I was obsessed with coming up with the right equipment so my face wouldn't freeze off. It turned out later then it was colder in New York City than it was in Bulgaria. But whatever. So that's what I was worried about. So I showed up. And as it turns out that the dean of faculty was a Toastmaster when he was in college in New Zealand. And he thought it was a transformative experience and he wanted to share it with the students. So when he saw it on my resume, he asked me to do it or wrote it into my contract. So great. Actually, it turned out to be one of the best things that I did in Bulgaria. And let me tell you why. First of all, it gave my life structure and touchstone to something that I know. Because if you've ever been away in a foreign country, away from everything you know and everyone you know in another language, it can be deeply isolating. And it seems even more isolating than at times when I feel lonely at home. But because I have Toastmasters, virtually every day I was doing something that I was familiar with. And I was talking to people on the phone with Toastmasters in Colorado. So the familiarity was very good. And the second part was the community that I created. It turns out that only the students came, the staff and the faculty. I think that they actually needed Toastmasters, but the power differential between student and staff and faculty was such that they felt like, obviously, that they didn't want to be part of the student club. Fine. In a classroom, there's boundary differences, there's power differentials, as I mentioned, between student and teacher. But in the club, with the club officers, I met these amazing, amazing young people that were just like me, and they're just like you. So these are people who are willing to do everything that they have to do to be in school, to work, whatever, and they also want to improve themselves. As you know, as a Toastmaster, this is a very select group of people. And I found in my community of Toastmasters the same people that I know and love. Through the Toastmasters, I got a better sense of what was going on in the school. I became really interested in the fact that Bulgaria, where I was, is the fastest shrinking population in the world because of the sense of hopelessness of younger people. So with the high performance leadership tools, I started a project which I called Hopeful Bulgaria. And I did it just to do it. And I used the high performance leadership tools, which were excellent, and I cannot recommend highly enough. Through that, I was actually able to form a bond with the school leadership, and eventually I went back, being in the last fall, I went back and I got a Fulbright, and I worked directly with them. And here's my Fulbright certificate that came in the mail recently. But honestly, what is much more important to me is this little rose oil bottle. A lot of the Bulgarian students that come, that study there, they practice their English by working in seaside resorts in America, in the United States. And last May, I met with some of the students who became student leaders, and this very shy young woman who joined the club when she was 18, freshman, by the end of her sophomore year, she had become president. And in her, I saw this amazing young woman and future leader. And the reason why I bring this rose oil bottle, and I will wrap this up, is because when I visited with her, she not only greeted me warmly, but she had these little gifts for me. And she took each one out and explained it to me in Toastmasters fashion. And I was just so deeply touched by the experiences that I had with her. And yes, the awards are great, but you can't take away something like this. You can't pay for this. This is a fantastic experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. I can relate to your speech too, and it's good to have structure in your life. And Toastmasters has also lots of impacts on my life too. So thank you for your speech. Our next speaker is Jacinta Watkins. She's working on Persuasive Influence Level 5, demonstrating expertise. Reflect on your path. Dr. Watkins will lead you in a thought-provoking exercise A pen and paper will be required if you would like to participate. She will be presenting the last speech of her second path, Persuasive Influence. Please welcome Jacinta Watkins. Jacinta Watkins, what are you doing? Where are you going? Jacinta Watkins.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Today is going to be an interesting day. We're going to work through an exercise if you choose to participate. A pen and paper will be required. I can guarantee you that if you participate in the exercise, you will have a positive impact on your life within the next 7 minutes and 30 seconds. We're going to discuss the exercise, and I'm going to provide you with a warning, a caution of things to keep in mind as you are using the new information that you have today. The exercise has 3 questions. Question number 1. What is one goal that you would like to accomplish within your lifetime? If you can write that on your piece of paper. Question number 2. How would your life be different if you accomplished your goal? You can write that answer down. And the final question, what is the one thing that you can do today to start accomplishing your goals for your life? As you review your responses, some of the questions may have been easier to answer, while some of the other questions may have been a bit more difficult to respond to. The purpose of the exercise is to increase awareness about yourself and where you're going in your life. I believe that your success and possibilities are limitless when you are able to determine what is important to you. Earlier this year, I was in an odd place. I was extremely happy with my profession, absolutely in love with my family, but something was missing. And I decided that I needed to figure it out. I knew I had a lot of talents and gifts that I want to share with others, but kind of similar to these papers, I didn't know where I was going. Being able to complete 2 pathways helped to bring clarity to my life in terms of where I would go. I learned that for me, I'm going to go as high as I can and be the absolute best person that I can be personally, because now I know what my goals are. I learned that persuasion is extremely important as it relates to accomplishing your goals. Perhaps you're wondering, why does persuasion matter with a goal that I set for myself? Often with goals, you need someone to help you and bring you to the next level where you want to be. You will need to communicate that with your audience because you want to accomplish your goals, right? You may be wondering, well, how do I persuade? Is that difficult? I'll give you a very, very small insight into my path. You can persuade by thinking of all the possible objections that may come up and address them at the very beginning, because that will help to engage your audience by addressing reasons why they may disagree with your viewpoint or may help you be the best person you want to be with your goals. Because you don't have a lot of time. Time is short, ladies and gentlemen. All of us have lost a loved one. And as you reflect on their lives, you think and realize life was short. Their lives were too short, right? I encourage you to keep that perspective in your mind as you are thinking about this goal, one goal that you want to complete in your lifetime to have your version of perfect, because life is short. It's so short. Now, you excited? You ready? You think you can accomplish your goal? I know you can accomplish your goal, and you can get started with that today. But I do need to give you a warning, a caution, just to keep in mind as you're progressing through your success, because you are going to be successful. Many of you are already successful. But imagine your version of perfect coming true by identifying that one goal that you want to do. You're going to encounter two types of people. It is vitally important for you to be able to know which type of person you are interacting with, because it could help you or hurt you. The first is the friendly, and the second is the unfriendly. The friendly person is going to encourage you, keep you, hold you, make you accountable to complete your goals. They're going to be consistent always and make sure that you are doing the absolute best you can to reach the goal. And they're going to help you do so. Now, the unfriendly person, often nowadays they call them jealous, they call them haters. Unfriendly is just what it sounds like. They're not going to help you. They're going to try to impede your success. You may think, why are we talking about this? Ladies and gentlemen, I've experienced it, and I guarantee each and every one of you have too at some point in your lives. I encourage you to review your answers. Think about them. Write them down. Take a picture. And remember, you have one goal you're trying to accomplish in your lifetime. So make sure you're trying to do it. Think about our discussion and heed my warning, because it can happen. It will happen as you continue to be successful. My fellow Toastmasters, today is a day for you to change your life. Today is the day for you to start accomplishing that one goal, to start living your version of perfect. Today is the day for you to not live in fear and wonder what could have happened if I would have accomplished my lifetime goal. Now, where are you going, Madam Toastmaster?
Thank you, Jacinta. It was an interesting speech. We all have this friendly and unfriendly person here inside. Our next speaker, our final speaker tonight is Elaine Nieberding, our VP of Membership, Vice President of Membership. Level 3 in the Dynamic Leadership Pathways brings into focus negotiate the best outcome. Tonight, hear Elaine's negotiation story. In her speech entitled, "You Can't Always Get What You Want." Yes, there is a Rolling Stones song by that name. Unmute your microphones now, please, because she wants to engage you early on a little chant. Ready? Give Elaine Nieberding a warm welcome for You Can't Always Get What You Want.
Hello there, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and replay viewers. So this is my little negotiation story, and I'm wondering, are some of you Rolling Stones fans? Did you listen to the Stones in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s? They have,
Yes, you're up.
Okay. They have longevity. And one of the songs that came to mind as I was preparing this speech was this one. You can't always get what you want. I'm going to say it 3 times, and join me in saying it the second and third times. And then if you know the words that follow after them, say those too. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get
what you
what you want. Third time. You can't always get what you want.
But if you try real hard,
sometime you'll find
get what you need.
Get what you need.
you get what you need. You can mute now. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciated that. So, negotiation. It means discussing things to come to reach agreement, with one or more parties. And so not long ago, I entered into a relationship with a woman who conducts training programs for corporations and businesses to help them dial down conflict by gaining emotional reconnection. And I thought it was such an exciting arena that when she offered me an opportunity to come and do some work with her, I was really excited. Now, the word negotiation, I've talked about discussing to come to agreement, but look at this derivation. It's really interesting. The two parts of it from Latin are neg, which means not, no, nicht, and odium, which means, and I think it's cut off, I'm sorry, it means leisure. So it means not leisure. It means get down to business and pay attention. And so, in the process of negotiation, it's important to know what the other person wants and what you want. And can you find your way to a win-win? Well, what did I want coming into relationship with this woman? I wanted to help her grow her business. I wanted to help her find new enrollees for her courses. I wanted her to get more engagement with viewers by bringing some video in. These were things she wanted. I wanted to have a courtship because there was going to be some travel involved in this job and also an opportunity to attend some trainings. Now, let me talk a little bit about the styles of communication that went on as we were proceeding through negotiation. First off, it was kind of competitive because her first offer to me for doing a lot of things was very little money. Maybe some attraction for some travel and some training experiences, but I countered with, maybe I could attend one of the trade shows with you. So that worked out, and then we went into another series of negotiations. And at that point, it became more collaborative. I wrote out a contract, and the contract that I wrote out explaining my duties over a 3-month period of time, not 6 months, was agreed upon for what I thought was a handsome sum. But we didn't agree on compensation for a percentage of new business brought in. So I failed to sign a written contract. Things went along for a month or so in the verbal arena. And that was my downfall. That was my downfall because when I got to California, and while I was working on building the business and learning about the contact relationship management system and initiating lots of great conversations with both past students and new prospects, when I attended the training, at the end of the first month, the day before the training ended, she broke the contract. Well, she broke the verbal contract because not enough people were showing up right away. And I'm going, lady, you don't really understand how long it takes to build these relationships and convert people. So, what happened here? Was there a problem because I did not have it finalized in written form? Well, I think so. Maybe I was making it too leisurely. I was just enjoying all of the travel and all of the new experiences and working in this new field of talent development. But I should have signed a contract. So when things kind of went a little sour, I wasn't sure what I would do. And there were a couple weeks where we didn't talk very much. And then I had a shift. And the shift was, I'm going to Lego my nego, because I'm just going to let this thing go and believe that truly things are really going the way they were meant to be. I learned a lot. And then as I got into August and September, I was realizing this was not really the person for me to have the kind of relationship with that I initially imagined. So I'll go back to the original words where I said, you can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want, but if you try, you'll find sometimes you get what you need. And indeed, I did. And all is well. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
I love your energy, and with you, we're certainly sure that we will get what we want. So with that, we finished our prepared speech segment. Now, it's our favorite segment, table topic session. And please help me. But first, table topic session, we will speak for 2 minutes. So please speak until 2 minutes, okay? So now help me to invite to the stage our table topics master, Norman Dow.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening. Well, let me start with Viviana. What is the best thing that you ever purchased under $50 and why? What is the best thing that you purchased under $50 and why is it so good?
Okay, what the best thing I have purchased under $50? I like to purchase something online because it's cheaper than it's retail by the retail shop, and I like to purchase a book from bookdepository.com or purchase online course. And the recent purchase this was a long time ago. The recent purchase is currently I bought 2 books from book sales. Is that there is a book access, means the books that purchase in a large quantity and they don't need anymore. So they sell the book at a cheaper price in the exhibition. And it just happened like once a year or twice a year. And I took that opportunity. I went there with my family. So each of us brought the book. So it's like one book is just like $3. So like I bought 2 books and it's a good, and they have like a sample book that we can read it before we purchase the book. Back to you, Norman.
Thank you. It's interesting. I'm a bookworm also, so you went to a bookstore. Great. David Lampy, who is your secret celebrity crush and why? Who is your secret celebrity crush and why?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I don't really have a secret celebrity crush. I recently, though, was at the Toastmasters International Convention here in Denver just a couple of weeks ago, and we had some really great speakers. Some of the speakers for the international speech competition were really good, and I guess that could be a crush. I basically would like to be like them someday. I don't think I'll ever get there, but you should take a look at the YouTube videos that are online of the winner and the runner-up and the third place. They were all very good. The person who won, I thought, really did a great job. I don't think he had as good of a message as some of the other speakers, but he technically was a very good speaker, definitely the best speaker of the three. So I don't really think I have a celebrity crush necessarily, but I do think that I do aspire to be a better speaker, and I think that Toastmasters is really a great venue to do that. And I've never really taken part very much in the contest, but I think I would like to try to do that a little bit more in the future so that I could be like these great speakers we saw at the convention. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, David. John Callahan. If there was a movie about your life, would it be a comedy, drama, action, romantic? And what actor would play you?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Would my life movie be a comedy, a drama, a romantic? The answer is all of the above, because in reality, life is like that. I have experienced incredible love in my life, so that's the romantic side. An incredible tragedy in my life, that's certainly fits into the whole drama side, and some god-awful funny things too. So life is just a mixture of all sorts of good stuff. It's really about what you make out of it. How's it going to turn out? How is this story, how's this movie going to turn out? Then you got to look at your other part of your question. What actor is going to portray me? That actor is going to have to be multifaceted, somebody that can really play a lot of different roles, because again, they're going to have to be a comedian at times. I would lean towards Sean Connery. That's kind of the person I'd like to see play me. He can be hilarious at times. He can be a spy. He can be a romantic person. Sean Connery. If he's not available, maybe Harrison Ford because of the Star Wars stuff, but first dibs goes to Sean Connery, especially if he can wear one of those suits of armor and have a sword in his hand the whole time. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, John. Anne-Marie, would you like to participate? Okay, good. Anne-Marie, if someone were to give you $1 million and told you to create a charity and give it away in 1 year, what charity would you create and why?
Okay. I would create a charity based on different factors. One, of course, for the poor people to help them, but not only them, but also for education, so our world gets better educated, and also for people who are looking for the spiritual path in their lives, as that they also get more access to that. So that's not so foreign. When catastrophes come, like now on the Bahamas, of course, a lot of that going towards that. And as fast as possible, having a good organization, how to forward, and at the same time, complimenting Floridians for being so helpful at this moment and really opening their hearts. my goal of that charity is to open people's heart, not only with the money, but also in the personal relationships, and let's get values up front. Thank you, Toastmaster. Tabletop Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Anne Marie. And for our last one, Joseph. We all were in high school, and it was, for most of us, a fairly challenging time. Joseph, what do you think is the most effective method of becoming the most popular kid in high school?
Well, I was not popular in high school, but my senior class was only 40 people. The ones that were popular were the ones who played sport, the football captain, the cheerleader, and most likely the highest ranking parent, because I went to a military high school. So the best way to become the most popular is to become a sports addict, a cheerleader, or run for class president and try to become prom queen or prom king. You can also try to get the homecoming king and queen, but most likely is to get your name out there and network with everyone in your class and in your school. The only thing that I was known for is my hair, because in high school, I used to have long hair to my shoulders and it was blonde. And I had bad teeth, which was gaps between my teeth. And so those things made me popular. I guess you have to say who is really popular, and it's based on your feelings of how and what you think popularity is. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Okay, and let me turn it back over to our Toastmaster of the evening. Sil?
You have time for one more, Norman.
One more, okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Ooh. Okay, Tiger. Tiger, what is the worst job you ever had, and how did you end up leaving it? What was the worst job did you ever had, and how did you end up leaving it?
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master. So, when I was 19, I got a job in Alaska at a fishing cannery about 300 miles from the nearest town, which was about 100 people. I got there and they put me on a scow. A scow is a large boat designed to hold dead fish, as in about 50 tons of dead fish. My job, when we got back to shore, the skipper and the first mate would go take showers and eat steak. My job was to take a big old push broom and push dead fish towards this contraption that was about 100 years old that picked up the dead fish and took them into the cannery. One time, as I was pushing, and mind you, these fish were bigger than me. These were king salmon, often over 100 pounds. And when fish die, their mouth is open with very sharp teeth. Well, one day I'm pushing, this dead fish comes off the pile and nails me in the back of the neck. As I'm bleeding profusely, laying there, I go, you know what? I'm done. I picked myself up. I walked off that boat. I walked into where the skipper and the first mate were eating steak, and I said some words that I can't repeat, but basically I said, I quit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tiger. And now, Sil, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master Norman Dow. Very interesting topics. Really enjoyed. Now, can I remind you to send your votes to Deborah for the best speaker and for the best table topic speaker. And now I'll ask Roger if all speakers qualify.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. From the table topic speakers has been listed right there with Viviana, David, John C., Anne Marie, Joseph, and Tiger, and all of them qualify for votes. Earlier with our 3 prepared speakers, Diane went over because hers it was 4 to 6 minutes. So go ahead and place your vote for Jacinta or Elaine. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Roger. So now I will give my turn to our elegant and sophisticated general evaluator, Lois Margolin. Please help me to welcome her.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. I have the honor of introducing our evaluators. To me, this is one of the most important parts of the meeting because this is where we get actual feedback on how did we do? Did everything work out the way it was supposed to? What could we have done better? And after all, isn't that why we're here, is to find out how we can do just a little bit better. Please help me welcome Lou Brown as he evaluates Diane Rubino.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator and Toastmaster Rubino. What an elegant speech. Thank you for sharing this chapter in your life's book. I really like icebreakers because we get to know more about you, and I know you're already a seasoned Toastmaster, and quite frankly, I think you're a DTM. So whether it's your first speech or your 100th, there's always something to learn. And it certainly helps your audience to learn more about you as well. I noticed you were very comfortable in front of the camera. That was one of the key things I noticed when you spoke, is you always had great eye contact right at the camera. And it's kind of an interesting thing because I am challenged in this regard. So often I want to look at my screen and not at the camera, so I know that that's very difficult to do. I also appreciate the clarity in your delivery. I could hear every single word you said, so you spoke very clear again, and you had a good pace. So even though I was taking notes, I didn't miss key portions of your speech because you spoke, again, at a really good pace. And again, I mentioned the really good eye contact you had. So thank you for really making great use of the camera. Now, to add even more structure to your speech and to take it to an even higher level, I do have a couple of suggestions. Actually, a bit more than a couple because, after all, you are a DTM. And since you can't quit Toastmasters, I know that you won't mind that I offer a few more. First, your opening. You said, I should have read the contract. Now, to me, it came off a bit flat. I would have liked to have seen you maybe use some emotion in there or otherwise some kind of vocal variety to really make us feel the hook. Something like, I should have read the contract, maybe like a V8 moment, something like that. And then pepper that throughout your speech. I believe I did hear you say it once. If you did say it a little bit more, I apologize, but that's sort of like one of those hook lines that you want to include after key points in your speech where you're talking about that. Now, in terms of the visuals, I really like that you had a few things to show us. The contract that specified you will be starting a Toastmasters club, even though you didn't realize that would be part of it. And you had a certificate. I would have liked if you shared your screen and show us those things. It would have been nice to see that, especially the certificate. Now, in terms of another type of visual, I also noticed, this one is actually you. I noticed that you had your hand on your chin a few times throughout your speech. That's not very elegant and actually kind of conveys a bit of disinterest on your part. I don't believe that was the case, but that is something that the audience might perceive as such. So I certainly recommend just sitting up straight or otherwise not doing that. And of course, it also gives you an opportunity to use your gestures in other ways should you want to do that. Overall, though, I really appreciated your speech. Again, thank you very much for sharing a piece of your life story. And I look forward to hearing more about you in the future. I believe I haven't really had the pleasure of listening to too many of your speeches, so I certainly look forward to future ones. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Lou. Fabulous evaluation. Let's hear from Toastmaster Graham evaluating Toastmaster Jacinta.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters guests, and most particularly Speaker Jacinta. Jacinta today was completing a level. This is the Reflect on Your Path speech, and it is a chance to reflect on the entire path, which is about being a persuasive speaker. When I asked Jacinta before the speech if there was anything specific she wanted me to look for, she just asked she would like to know if I felt inspired by the speech. And I have to say, in that, yes, congratulations, Jacinta, you have completed the assignment. You made us set out our own goals, and that was particularly well done. You also asked us to reflect on it. Now, the difficulty with that is that you didn't specify that it had to be a goal that we weren't already achieving. It might have been better if you'd said, I want you to look at a goal, something that you can achieve in your life that you haven't yet done, because that would then focus us on improvement rather than feeling, yeah, actually, I'm meeting all of my goals at the moment, so I'm happy. But it was a good technique to make us actually get involved in this. I'll come back to that later at the end of this. Also, a really good use of props. I don't know whether you noticed when Jacinta threw the papers up, that worked really well. I also loved her use of gestures. You know, there are two types of people. Let's talk about the first. She then didn't come back and say, let's talk about the second. And, you know, that we might have worked around. The speech overall was motivational, and that was the intent of it, to make us think about where we are going and how we can achieve our goals. I felt at times there were some phrases which were meant to be motivational, and they sounded just a little strident is probably the word. It's really difficult to get motivational and to use motivational phrases without making yourself sound like a caricature. You're getting there, keep working on it, and I think you'll do really well. I think there was a section that I would suggest that you work on, Jacinta, and that is the structure, because I thought that you got a little lost at one point. You were talking about how life is short, and then you got stuck on that. And then you went back to it, and then eventually you thought, okay, no, I've done the bit, now I need to get to the friendly versus unfriendly. And because you seem to get stuck on the how short life is, it didn't flow into the there are friendly and unfriendly people, and that therefore felt a little jammed in. The focus of this speech, as I say, was to reflect on the path. Did it reflect on the path? Well, only tangentially, although Jacinta did say early, okay, my purpose has been to do this path, which is to be a persuasive speaker. But the other function was, did it motivate? Well, I would say generally, yes, it did. But I'll ask the audience this. Are you aware of where you are going? Are you going to be working on the goals that you set yourself at the beginning of Jacinta's speech? If so, then she has succeeded, and I commend you for that, Speaker Jacinta. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Graham. I was so caught up in your evaluation, I forgot that was me. I appreciate it. To evaluate Elaine, please welcome Jim Barber.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. My fellow Toastmasters, our most welcome guest this evening, and of course, especially Toastmaster Elaine Nieberding. Elaine, I always enjoy hearing you speak, and tonight was no exception. You were engaging, you established a great rapport with everybody. I spent a lot of time in gallery view, and everybody looked like they were paying attention, like they were following what you were doing. Your opening, of course, did a great job of doing that, of connecting with everybody. We are not, as has been pointed out in the chat, we do not have a future as an a cappella group, but nevertheless, this was a great speaking technique to bring the audience in, get them involved, and they stayed involved after that. So let's talk about your speech. I've got two aspects that I want to discuss, verbal and visual. Let's do verbal first. Basically, everything there was excellent. You were conversational, you were personable. I would say the word of the day, elegant, is appropriate here, not in the formal sense, but in the clean and simple sense. You didn't have a lot of extra highfalutin words in there. You just simply talked to us, and you did it very, very well. The only suggestion that I have, you had a terrific closing. I loved your closing. I was getting ready to rave all about it. And then you threw in 4 words at the end, and all is well. That really wasn't necessary for the speech. I think if you had just left those 4 words off, you would have had an even better closing. So that was very good. That's the only verbal suggestion that I have. Now let's talk visual. Couple of things here. On one slide, and you caught this, the text was cut off a little bit at the top and a lot at the bottom. You noticed that. You said, I'm sorry, and that's great that you noticed it. It would have been better if you had noticed it in advance so that it didn't happen, but that's a little thing. That sort of thing happens. Second thing, you might not have expected, the annoying little speaker name bar at the bottom that I'm pointing to in gallery view is much bigger in percentage of the screen in gallery view than it is in speaker view. And I was spending a lot of time in gallery view because I wanted to see how the other speakers were the other members rather were responding to your speech. And especially at the beginning of the speech, that darn name thing cut off your chin because you were close to the camera, and so you were kind of talking like this at the beginning. Either shorten the speaker bar so that in gallery view it's off to the side, or just simply move back a little bit from the camera so that you're not so close to it, and the bottom part, if it gets cut off, doesn't really matter so much. The second thing the last thing, and this goes in the same direction. If you have to and fro movement, and you're close to the camera, it changes your head size. Now, side to side is okay, but to and fro, as I say, doesn't work very well. So you did that a few times, try to avoid that. But otherwise, this was a fantastic presentation, everything that I expected to hear from you, and I'm really looking forward to your next one, Madam General Evaluator.
Wow, this is gonna be a tough vote. Roger, tell me 2 at least went overtime so we don't have to vote. Please, please, please. How did they do?
Madam General Evaluator, unfortunately, I cannot keep this meeting to its simplicity for you because we have a complicated situation where all 3 evaluators qualifies for their time. So therefore, you have to pick the most elegant evaluator for tonight. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Wow, and they don't even have 3-headed coins. Please send your vote to Deborah Carr. All of our evaluators were magnificent. My report on the general evaluation of the meeting, and Roger, please make sure you time me on this. I love how Elaine went ahead and did the installation. I thought it was smooth and seamless. Patty, I hope you feel welcomed. Where is she? I hope you feel welcomed in the club. We installed just a little bit different. We give you virtual flowers, so to speak. We did start right on time. We had a great meeting. Our speakers were very educational or opening of their hearts, and I appreciate that. Norman, I had a hard time with your topics. When you asked for something under $50, I just froze. I'm so glad you didn't ask me that question. And I absolutely melted when John said Sean Connery or Harrison Ford. So I'm not sure I heard the rest of his speech because I just got lost in La La Land. David Lampe, I hope you follow your dream. It is certainly possible to become one of those speakers. And after Jacinta's speech, I hope you realize writing it down and following it through, you can make it happen. And Anne-Marie, opening your heart is always such a positive thing. So overall, I thought the meeting was great. And I think, Tiger, were you the last speaker on there? Tell me yes, right? Nod your head. Yes. No. Okay, who was our last speaker? I'm sorry, I don't remember. Roger, you were?
Tiger was our last speaker. You had 1 minute 15.
Thank you. Overall, I appreciated this meeting. I'd really like to see how clean it becomes and how we are able to stay on time. And I appreciate each one of you making sure that you realize that timing is such an integral part of a Toastmaster meeting. With that, I will turn it back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Lois. Now, can I ask helpers to give their reports? So let's start with timer, if all evaluators qualify?
Yes, all the evaluator qualify, all of the timing is fine. There was nobody have went way above. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay, I'm now reminding you to send votes to Deborah for the best evaluator. So let's start with a counter. Patty, can you give your report? Thank you.
I had one Asil, I noted that you had it 3 ahs, and at one time when you were introducing the table topics portion, you said, speak for 2 minutes. You said that twice, speak for 2 minutes, speak for 2 minutes. If I do not call you notice because I did not notice anything, Diane Rubino, I noted 2 ands, 1 so, and then you said and it's, and on a phrase, if they can teach too, which I think it should have just been if they can teach. You can send me a message if I'm incorrect on that. Jacinta, I just caught one, kind of, it was like a so it's not really a word there. Elaine, 2 ands, 1 well, 3 so's, 2 ahs. You had a couple of and so, and a couple of times you just did like, you know, kind of like a smack or a tisk, whichever way you want to call it, but just some sounds with your mouth. Norman, nothing. Lois, nothing. Chris Brown, I noticed 2 ahs, and you kind of cleared your throat twice, which is, you know, it happens when you can't drink water during a meeting. So I understand that. Graham, I didn't notice anything. Jim Barber, you had 1 so. Roger, nothing. Marianne wasn't here. Let's see. Vivian, you had, and I just said myself, you had quite a few ahs, and so I will not say how many it was, but just work on your ahs in the future. Some of that just comes with the nerves, and so I think we've all done it at one point or another. Joseph, you had 1 well. David Lempe, you had 2 ahs and 1 repeated word, the. Anne Marie, you had 3 ahs. John Callahan, 1 ah, and Tiger, you had 1 so. That completes my ah counter. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wow, Patty, you did a great job with your report. So next, grammarian. David, can you please report? Thank you.
Sure. So you definitely were the winner in terms of using the word of the day the most often. Maybe not surprising since you put it on the agenda, you came up with a theme, but you talked about having a simple and elegant agenda, introducing the elegant and sophisticated, Lois Margolin. Now Lou did work in what an elegant speech in evaluating Diane. I think Jim Barber actually has given me my theme for my report when he said that Elaine spoke with not a lot of extra highfalutin words. And I think that brings up the point that sometimes the best language isn't the floweriest language. We had a lot of good, clear, crisp, simple statements throughout the meeting, I think. I like Diane's, I did it just to do it, which is a nice way of summing up that this is something that she did. Maybe what I took from that was not necessarily for the certificate or whatever, but for the experience and what she was able to do for the country with her Hopeful Bulgaria project. And Jacinta had that one goal to achieve your vision of perfect, which is kind of a theme that she came back to. I thought that was a good phrase. That's about it. Also, I liked Graham talking about using motivational characters without making yourself sound like a caricature of somebody trying to be motivational. That's my report.
Thank you, David, for your report. A great report. So next, Watcher. Tiger, can you give your report?
Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster. So first reaction is, whenever you are on screen, stop and think that the speaker may be looking at you. I know that when I am going for humor, I either look at Roger or Jim or Seal because I know that they all appreciate my warped sense of humor. And as I watched the Brady Bunch, I did notice that almost everybody is engaged almost all the time. So just make a point of that, to think that that person is probably looking at you and react to that. Now, in terms of the most simple and effective background, my vote goes to John Callahan. The most elegant background goes to a seal. And drum roll please, the most elegant and simple background goes to no other than Roger. Well, there's a tie between Roger and David. How about that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Roger was really classy. Haha.
Oh, and Graham, you're kind of in fuzzy mode. Sorry. All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger, for your great report as well. So now a chat monitor. John, can you give your report to us? Thank you.
Madam Toastmaster, there was a lot of humor and some information in the chat tonight about a cappella regarding our singing without any tune behind us. Graham talking about Sean Connery, John Callahan's thing, Lois pretending she forgot to ask for reports, and then Jim saying, I believe you. Things like this happened. I'll post those reminders in the chat. Again, my private chat, though, was on fire tonight, but it's private, so it disappears. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, John, for your report. Thank you. So now it's an exciting moment because Deborah is going to give to let us know who is the best speaker, the best table topic speaker, and the best evaluator. Please welcome Deborah. Yay.
Well, the beauty of simplicity was a little bit difficult tonight, simply because we had such great speakers. We had very good evaluations, plus the table topics were really fun to listen to. So anyway, with that, we have, for best table topics, we have Tiger. For evaluator, we have Jim. And our best speaker tonight is Elaine. Back to you.
Yay! Congratulations to our best speakers. So now, I really enjoyed our meeting. I learned a lot. Thank you so much for making this meeting great. So now I'm giving my turn to our president, Joyce.
Thank you, Asil. Let's give her a round of applause. She was fabulous. Thank you, Asil. I have a bunch to go over, so I'm going to be going through about 5 or 6 different things. First of all, many of you have heard that about the Bahamas, and I want you to know that those of us in South Florida are giving as much as we can, but they need everybody's help. If there's anything you can do, I reach out to you. It is very close, and my district has Bahamas, the Grand Bahamas and Nassau, and all of that is part of my district. So we feel it extra close, and I just wanted to do a notice for that. Jacinta, I believe you have something that you want to say. Can I give you just a moment for that?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Madam President. I would like to share my screen and minimize all of this. Okay, Elaine, congratulations on achieving level 2 of your dynamic leadership. Congratulations. This is your virtual certificate. So when you complete a level here and it's assigned to our club, we can submit a virtual certificate to you. So congratulations, Elaine.
Thank you, Jacinta. Elaine, we are so proud of you and how far you have come, and we can see the difference. Congratulations. Moving on, I am sure David Carr wants to do a heartfelt bleeding request for the payment of dues. David, do you want to do that, or shall I?
I can get that in. there is a page on our website that says renew, just like there's a page on our website that says join. If you have not visited the renew page, please visit that page, click on the button that allows you to pay, and pay. I will be pestering those who have not paid. A number of people have, but probably less than half the club. And we do want to get all those payments in by the end of the month.
Thank you, sir. Next week, we have John Quick as our Toastmaster of the day. Clarissa and Patty are both speakers. I just realized I have another speech coming up, and I was supposed to be the third speaker, so that will be opening up. Unless someone specifically knows that they want it right now, I will go ahead and put them in. Otherwise, I will just remove myself. Going once, going twice, text me, email me, whatever you need to do, and we'll go from there. Roger put out an email about our September speak-a-thon with various dates. If you like doing the speech-a-thons, which I happen to love, please make sure that you respond to that email and vote for the date that works for you. For our guests, because we have approximately 50 members, every now and then we try to do 4 to 6 weeks. We have an extra date that we put out there so that we can provide speaking opportunities to our members. Before I ask the guests for their opinion, I just wanted you guys to know that Online Presenters is sponsoring the workshop. Congratulations! You don't have to even give any money. It is called Teamwork for Performance. It is on September, and I'm the speaker, so yes, please give Online Performance the credit for it. It will be 6 p.m. UTC +4. So that is on September 22nd, and I am sure Christian and I will be putting something in our email so that if you'd like to register, you can. And now it's the time to hear from our guests and what they thought of the meeting. Joseph, what did you think?
I always enjoy these meetings as the first one I attended, so it's getting nice. One thing that I have to work on is when I start speaking, I black out. So it's really my mind going and my mouth going. So I have to try to slow down and think while I'm speaking.
Welcome to Table Topics 101. Anne Marie, what did you think?
Actually, I loved it. And I got caught by surprise that I had to say something. And that was really exciting because I was not at all prepared. I thought that the experience online would be actually very different than being actually on there. But I felt like everybody, we were in union, and I loved that a lot. So there was something still going on, even though we were not meeting each other personally.
Wonderful. David Lampe, what did you think?
I thought it was a good meeting. I wasn't sure about how it worked with the technology and everything, but I think it worked really well, and I'd love to visit again sometime. The only thing I find a little strange is doing like table topics sitting down, because I've always been in a club where you stand up. So that would take some getting used to, or I'd have to do something different so I could actually stand up.
It would be challenging. Al, what did you think?
It was like watching Toastmasters, the TV show. It was great. I really enjoyed it, and I'm coming back. You guys are hilarious, and you're serious, a lot more serious than our chapter. We have a different aim, but you guys, I want to be a part of you. You are awesome.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that all of our guests, Frank left, right? I don't see Frank on the board. Is Frank here? No, okay. So I'm so happy that all of you really had a good experience. I know our Vice President of Membership, Elaine, will get back with you and see if this is something that you want to join. It is a phenomenal club. It is exactly 9 o'clock, Elaine. So I'm going to close out the meeting. Did you have something you want to say for 10 seconds?
Yeah, I would like to have Anne Marie's email address. Put it on in the private chat, because I don't have it.
Okay.
I don't have to put the private chat. How do
Well, I'll tell you what, stay afterwards and we'll connect up. Who started the meeting? Was it you, David?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so I am adjourning this meeting, but please do not do an end for all. Last week, Roger did that, and we tried to stay on afterwards, and we were all disconnected. So if you need